The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Somehow Amber and Scott made it to 200 episodes. And how did they celebrate? Obviously by going to see the dystopian death march known as The Long Walk. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Hey everyone, we made it to 200 episodes! Yay! Woo-hoo! And how did we celebrate? Did we go see the feel-good movie of the year? No, we did not. Absolutely not.
No, but I think it was a really great, although unintentional film to see for our 200th episode because it was definitely an epic film and very powerful with lots of what would you do. So I'm actually kind of grateful that worked out. Certainly wasn't planned.
And the movie, just like our 200 episodes, has been a long walk.
That's probably the only joke we're going to have here because this is a pretty heavy movie, folks. Alrighty. So, yes, as Scott said, our movie for this episode is The Long Walk. And this is not a great description, but I'm just going to grab part of it here. The Long Walk, an intense, chilling, and emotional thriller that challenges audience to confront a haunting question, how far would you go?
I mean,
that's really simplistic.
It's very, it's pseudo Hunger Games-ish in that a bunch start and one ends.
Yeah, that's true.
And everyone else has to die.
Time to die. Yeah, so this is an adaptation of one of Stephen King's stories, and is really storytelling at its finest. The emotional roller coaster that you can go on when you're invested in the characters. They're multidimensional, and you find yourself rooting for some of them and rooting against all, and you are invested in the outcome.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you really start to feel for these characters, and I agree.
I will take that. So just to offer a really brief synopsis here, since our movie description here was so bad, it's not really clear what time period it is because they have electronic pedometers, but they're also singing old-time things like Clementine and other kind of folk songs. So the time period is a little unclear, and you can't really tell based on the clothes because that could be the 50s or it could be today.
Yeah, I felt like it was probably 60s-ish. I mean, but it was also a dystopian type future, so it's like...
It felt like the time period of another Stephen King film, which was... Oh, gosh. Drawing a blank. The boys who go on the adventure that I told you was a Stephen King film and you didn't know.
Oh, you want me to remember?
Yes, please.
No.
Okay. Google that, please, while I'm giving a synopsis here, if you would be so kind. So
I don't have my phone.
Anyway, my point being, it was the same time period. It's like 60s. What something with me? It's not Walk With Me. Something with me? Stand By Me. Stand By Me. Oh, okay. I did it my own, folks. Thank you for bearing with me on my senior moment. So anyway, yeah, it felt like that same time period. Stand By Me. So we have this time period where books and knowledge from the previous years is banned. So you can't talk about literature or philosophers or anything that basically is independent thought. And times are hard. No one has money. Everyone's just surviving. And there is this event, and I'm not sure how frequently it happens, but they bring in, what was it, a participant from every state?
Yeah, from every state, which I know that there were 49, maybe the 50th one dropped. Okay, it seemed like there was a period at which you could drop out, and maybe somebody did. I don't know.
Yeah, you had to drop out 48 hours before. And in a nutshell, you start walking, and there is no final destination in place. You just have to keep walking and be the last person standing. There are no bathroom breaks. There are no sleep breaks. You just have to keep walking. And literally the last person standing wins. They win a chunk of money and they win a wish, whatever that wish is. The overlords grant the wish. And if there's big money to give, you think they would just pump it into society so people weren't living hand to mouth. But we have this group of men who have, I'm putting in air quotes, volunteered to participate in this long walk, knowing that only one person wins and everybody else dies, because you have to maintain a pace of 3 miles, 3 miles per hour. And if you slow that, you get a warning, you get a second warning. And then if you don't get moving, they shoot you and they kill you. And that includes you have to poop, you have to pee. While you're walking, somehow they're able to catch cat naps while they're actually walking. And I don't know how that works. But you just got to keep walking.
Yeah. You get 3 warnings for free. And then after that,
you can't have one for like, what is it, 3?
bang, bang, bang.
Another 3 miles or something?
You lose, for every hour you go without a warning, you drop one. So
yeah. And
which, I mean, means you can use them very strategically.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have some very compelling characters here, some very likable, some unlikable, and they know the stakes, and they walk.
Yeah.
Let's just start there with what would you do? If times were hard and there was this opportunity to get an undisclosed amount of money, we as a viewer don't know, and a wish, and that this is your chance to save your family, and they've spun this with a marketing twist that, GDP of the country goes up during the long walk and people are motivated and good things happen during the long walk, which is televised to the country. Would you do it? Would you volunteer and show up to do the long walk?
Okay. Well, first of all, we have to assume that I'm of appropriate age, because now, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I mean, theoretically, I think they said that it's been going on for like 17 years or so. So there's plenty of historical data over the various walks as to how long they on average go.
And they did end up walking toward the end. The final count was 300 plus miles over
like
4 days.
No, more than that. It was 5.
Oh yeah. It was more
they
than
were into day 5.
Okay. Yes, 5 is more than 4.
Yeah, it was the evening of day 5.
I can't comprehend being in movement for 5 days of constantly walking, because you're going to catch some second winds in there, but your body, I cannot wrap my head around being in movement consecutively for 5 days.
See, here's the thing. I don't think it's your body. I even now, like.
Oh yeah, and that's what one of the characters, Pete, was actually talking about. Is this is in your mind? Your mind has to be the driver of this. And Pete was a character that was 1 in a million in that environment, in the fact that he was really talking about your mindset.
Yeah, and
not calling it that, but that's exactly what he was talking about.
And really, if you look at the end, the people who went at the end, basically, it wasn't because their body gave out. It was because their mind gave out.
Yeah, during the long walk, we actually have a couple of people who either put themselves in a situation where they would be killed or actually killed themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
in very, very brutal ways. And this film, I have never clenched my hands so tightly, yelled and jumped so much, because every time someone slows beneath that 3 miles per hour, every time someone, stops to tie their shoe too long, or over time we started seeing physical manifestations of, internal bleeding or seizures, or
an ankle turned sideways.
Yeah, just all kinds of terrible stuff. And then you'd hear the warnings, warning 1, first warning, second warning, and you knew it was coming, and your body would tense up, and then poof, and they showed so much of the getting, getting shot and your mouth flies off.
Yeah, it wasn't censored.
Yeah, I mean, you saw all of those murders. Well, a great majority of them. Getting shot and your mouth flies off.
Yeah, it wasn't censored.
Yeah, I mean, you saw all of those murders. Well, a great majority of them. And it was very emotionally difficult. But you're right when you talk about the mind, because the people who did take themselves out, either one person tried to run away from the group.
Couple did.
Yeah, shot. One guy actually stripped off all his clothes. You couldn't walk off the road. And if you stepped off the road, that was another reason.
There's no warnings on that one. You're just shot.
Yeah, there was one guy who stripped down to his underwear and then ran off to the grass. Like, you could tell very intentionally. One guy stabbed himself in the neck with a spoon. Another guy, tried to get on the tanks. One guy tried to steal a gun and actually did shoot a gun. Yeah. So, yeah, there was definitely mental deterioration, because you think about sleep deprivation is what that is, and that does take a toll on your mental mindset.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Though, I have to be a nerd here for a moment.
Oh, yes, you had some math you were doing during the film, because math seems to... You need to challenge math that doesn't make sense in films.
Okay, so at one point they said 209 miles day 4. Mm-hmm. So...
Oh, you're saying 3 miles per hour?
At 3 miles an hour times 20...
Welcome to my world.
Times 24 hours. So even if they were at a strict 3 mile an hour pace, which, mind you, it seemed like they were probably
a little bit faster.
Maybe 3 1/3-ish is probably closer to average, because you can't be right at that line. You have to have a little bit of give. So, but even if it was just straight 3 miles an hour, one day is going to take you 72 miles. So 3 days is going to take you 216 miles. And that thing said 207. And I'm like, really? Could no one have done the freaking math on that? And it was the same 280 or 278 when it said day 5, and it would have been 288. And I was just like, come on, guys, that one would have been easy.
That's true.
Like, you didn't need to do that.
I'm even capable of that degree of math.
So that
was sloppy.
Though I will say, this certainly made me ask the question of, what can you do at 3 miles an hour?
What do you mean, what can you do?
Can I pee?
Yeah, I mean, people initially were openly peeing on the path, but then they never stopped. So people are trying to defecate while they're walking and squatting and trying to get something to come out. And, some people made it through and, just poop be darned. And one unfortunate soul had diarrhea. And I got to tell you...
You don't want to have the runs during the walks.
If you're shot and killed after you've just had a bout of diarrhea in public walking down this road with a bunch of people, wow, that is a special kind of tragic way to die.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a great way to die.
And you can't manage that, because initially they're trying to keep their food consumption low because they don't want to have to defecate. But you can only do that to a certain degree, because you need some strength to keep going, because you're not sleeping. You need some fuel, and they give you these little packets that are actually, if you have a cat, they have you're familiar with this product that's kind of like the size of a drink flavor packet, and it has nutrients in it, and that's how they're eating. But you can't stave off food forever, because you need something to fuel your body.
Yeah, you do.
So back to my question. Would you do the long walk? You said not at this age, so let's just grant you it's whatever age that you're capable. Would you do that?
Honestly, I probably would. I'd probably do a test walk. I mean, obviously you can't go that far in a test, but I might try to do 20 and see how I felt after 24 hours.
That's a good point, because they do know the long walk is a thing. They do know they will be another long walk. So yeah, testing your ability is certainly an idea. And, things come up. You get blisters. Eventually, one of our main characters, Ray, his sole of his shoe starts to come off. And the guy he's walking with says, you can't walk uneven. It'll destroy you. You got to take off your shoes. So towards, the latter part of the journey, he's walking barefoot. I can't imagine.
Yeah, you definitely want good shoes for this.
Yeah.
Like whatever the best freaking shoes, like you.
But
you
you're
can,
going to get blisters, even if the best freaking shoes, being in non-stop motion for 5 days.
Yeah, you can skimp on anything else, but the shoes have got to be good. But yeah, you're right. There's no shoe out there that's gonna hold up for 330 miles of straight
Constant,
walking.
yeah. Another interesting what would you do in this film is Ray has his mom drop him off, and there is an early reference to the fact that Ray's dad is no longer around. And later in the film, we learn that his dad taught him ways of the old world and, brought the teachings of Nietzsche and other philosophers to him and literature that is now no longer allowed. And government found out, and they basically said, apologize and beg for forgiveness or we're going to kill you in the street.
Yeah, they sent Luke Skywalker to kill him.
Yeah, Mark Hamill was here as the bad guy. And he was so principled, he let himself be killed in front of his son and his wife. This is a really good what would you do, because some people will very much die for their principles. However, if you have other people around that care about you and are affected by your presence or lack of presence, where is that line? Like you said, that's dumb. So let's go down that what would you do hole with you're the dad.
So it's from an analytical perspective, what you have to ask yourself. If you are that principled to your thoughts, you have to say, will I be able to do my cause more good by staying alive, or will I do my cause more good by dying? Now, if this is some like broadcast on national TV and you've got this huge audience and they're seeing this, and you could actually truly make some people like change minds, or really, maybe you do choose death. But I mean, this wasn't. They pulled him out of his house. The only people in front of him were whatever military people were there, his son and his wife. And here's the thing for me. You could talk about it being principled. I say it's selfish. It's selfish. From his kid and his wife.
It can be both. I mean, history is filled with people who have died for their convictions, died based on their principles.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're heroes and sometimes they're martyrs, where that line is. And having a teenage son and a wife that you're leaving behind for your principles, you really have to think about, okay, my principle is going to keep them warm. Are my principles going to keep them safe?
Yeah, no, they're not. And that's the thing. It's not like you redo. There's no extra lives here. If you die, you die. And that's it. Like, your story is done. And I'm going to say what I need to say to live. And I don't need to believe it. He's like, pledge it. You don't know whether or not I believe it. I clearly don't.
Any movement that you believe in to that degree, you need to stick around to fight another day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if everyone dies for the cause, then there's nobody else to pick up the cause.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't eaten animals since our last century. And that is a principle I hold dearly that is very attached to my identity. That said, if someone was holding a gun to your head and said that I had to eat a spare rib, which is not a spare rib, pigs need every rib they have. Cows need every rib they have. There are no spare ribs. But, lecture aside, if someone said eat a rib.
Or die.
Or we're going to kill Scott, I would eat the rib.
I mean, I would hope they would do it even if they're going to kill you. Like, again, you can't further your cause if you're dead.
Are you alive? I probably wouldn't eat the rib.
But why? Like, you can't advocate further
because
unless you somehow have an audience.
This goes back to, I think, conversations you and I have had in the past about convictions and passions and things that are fundamentally values for you. And I think my not contributing to the torture and death of animals is one of those things that I don't know if you have one that's on par.
Convictions and values are some things that you hold under non-extreme circumstances. And they are things that you live by. And
well,
I make that point very clear. You live by them if you're now faced with a situation of death, and this being an extreme situation, you can justify it by simply saying, listen, I do not want to do this whatsoever, but I will die if I do not. This does not change who I am as a person. It does not mean I wanted to do this. It means I did what I needed to do to survive so I could continue advocating for my cause.
Well, and that line is a personal decision. You think of the TV show, I know you don't watch this, you've probably seen bits and pieces through me, but the TV show Yellow Jackets, where a soccer team of high school girls soccer team goes down in a plane crash and they need to survive. They end up eating each other. Where your principles, if you would be like, I'm not going to do that, you're going to die.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is when it comes to life or death, my principles are out the window. I mean, it really is.
You have a very strong survival instinct.
Extremely. Like, I'm going to do what I have to do to survive. Now, there are some lines. If me saving myself means other people are going to die, this might be a different... I mean, really, it's the trolley problem. For those of you who don't know about the trolley problem, a trolley is headed down the track towards 5 people who are tied up, and the trolley is going to kill them. There's a junction in the track where there is one person tied to the track on that junction. You can pull the lever. If you pull the lever, then the trolley will be diverted and kill the one. If you don't, it will kill the 5. And it becomes the question of, do you become morally responsible for the death of the one if you pull the handle, if you're the one who makes the decision to kill that person? And no, I'm just going to tell you, the answer is no, because inaction in of itself is a decision.
Yeah, I agree. 100% in every aspect, in every situation of life, inaction. You look at, I don't know, maybe the Holocaust. Inaction was an action. So,
you would never choose under normal circumstances to run a guy over with a trolley. Never. But these were extreme circumstances. And it's the same, like I said, with eating meat. You would never do it, but survival instinct really, I feel, should be absolutely prime to everything. And again, it doesn't change who you are as a person. And that's the thing that you need to remember. Breaking your principles in an extreme situation does not change who you are as a person. It just means that you're living to push those principles further.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes, again, we're all individuals. We have different lines for whatever actions in life and decisions we make. And this is actually a good entry point to our next what would you do, is we have one of the guys who's walking, and he's kind of submissive, and he made an origami animal and left it at the start. And he is walking along, and one of the characters, one of the unlikable characters, Gary Barkovitz, starts kind of saying like, oh yeah, your mom was giving out coupons for blowjobs, and just kind of harassing him for no really good reason. And the other kid started taking a swing at him as he was saying all these things, and so much so that he finally fell, and his face scratched against the gravel of the road, and he can't get up, and bang bang, he's dead. So
I'm going to probably turn into the bad guy on this one.
He's the bad guy.
I've said a survival instinct. You do things to survive, and it doesn't change who you are as a person. That said, there were 49 people walking and one person who's going to live. And you know that. You know that for you to live, everyone else must die. And it is unfortunate, but it is not something you learned day of. It is something you knew going into it.
Yeah.
That said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes that is not going to get me killed to get you killed. It's not that I want you to die. It's that I want to live.
Wait, so are you saying that Gary Barkovitz was antagonizing him so something would happen and he'd die?
I
didn't
don't
get
think
that.
he was antagonizing for that purpose, but I'm saying I would. If I thought that I could get...
You have that survival instinct that
if I could get somebody to...
Wow, okay, well that's like
Now-
actual murder. Like you're actually...
No,
contributing
you're
to
not.
the-
You're surviving.
Manslaughter.
No,
If you're creating a dynamic where somebody else dies because your chances are better, that's
you're
manslaughter.
you are surviving. You know, going into it, there is one guarantee, and that is that every single person except for one will die. Like, we know this. It's going to happen. The only question is how. How are they going to die? Now, am I going to do this on mile 1? No. I'm going to try to let as many people off themselves as possible. But when it gets down to the end, I'm sorry, there was a lot of people helping people. Hell no. Hell no. And that's where you got to draw a line.
Because they got close. I mean, you think about when you go through a harrowing experience with someone, even the course of 5 short days, those final characters were incredibly bonded for having go through this experience. So it's very difficult. I know you can be devoid of emotions more than the ordinary human.
It takes a level of extreme mental toughness to be like, listen, you just can't get that emotionally attached. That might be actually harder than the walk itself.
But I think the fact that our two main characters of this ensemble cast, Peter and Ray, I think the fact that they did get attached, that they did become brothers of sorts on this 5-day journey of supporting each other and, encouraging each other and giving each other the strength to take another step. I thought that was beautiful to witness, and I think it's what got them to the final 2 is because they had created a very authentic bond.
Okay, well, Scott's an asshole alert. I'm willing to fake it. I'm willing to fake it to have my group, to have the emotional support. And again, I want to make it clear. It's not that I want these people to die. It's not the saying I wouldn't be friends with them. But you have to look at the reality of the situation.
You are a survivalist. You will do and say whatever it takes to survive.
And I want to note that these scenarios are very different. Just as they made a reference to this in the episode, and I know we're running long, but it's our 200th episode. It's our 200th episode. We're going to go long. I don't care.
And this is a great film, so I love this.
Somebody talked about using their wish to make it so that the final 2 win. If you do that, it 1,000,000% changes the calculus of all of this. Then, if you antagonize someone into it, you potentially are murdering them, because that person and you could have lived. There is a scenario where that could have happened. And
I'm not following.
I'm just saying, if they allowed 2 people
Yeah.
to win in the final walk, because
Yeah.
in the actual scenario, only one meant everyone else had to die for you to live. For you to live, everyone else had to die. And your number one goal is to live. And that's your number one goal, even if 2 people can. But in that scenario, if you screw somebody over, you are screwing someone over who could potentially have lived alongside you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Then
Yeah.
I would have a very difficult time trying to screw somebody over, because then you actually could somewhat look at it as murder. It's hard because, like, let's say there's 3 left and 2 are going to live. And if you think you're fading, like if you think you're done, I mean, though in fairness, by that point, your mind is so gone anyway. Like, you're so gone mentally that I don't think you can be held responsible for anything that you do at that point.
Yeah, you're so impaired that you don't have the ability to exert good judgment. But this brings up another interesting what would you do for this film. So we have this pack of mostly young men. One that looks like he's 16. You have to be 18 and we think he lied and he's one of the first ones to go. But I'd say we have a group of men that basically look like they're in their early 20s, right?
Yeah.
And one of the characters, Hank, turns out we learn after he dies that he is the only person in this group that had a wife. Everybody else was single. And so they make a pact that whoever survives is going to help Hank's wife. What does that dynamic for participation look like? What would you do as a single person versus a married person and having this, put in air quotes here, opportunity to participate in the long walk?
So, but even as a single person, like Ray had a mom. Like, there are people that you'll be leaving behind. Now, if you truly have nobody, that's one thing. But like a wife versus a parent or whatever, I mean...
And we don't think that Peter had anybody. It looked like he had a hard life and was mostly a loner.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a conversation you have to have with your wife. And it's something that if you want to do it...
I mean, it's mostly a suicide mission.
I mean, and that's the thing. It is. It's mostly, and you have to know that and understand that. And which is why it's very unlikely that even given the opportunity that I would, because listen, even at my most physically fit, and I definitely were times where I was a lot more fit than I am now, I don't think in a room of 50 random guys approximately my age that I'm going to be the most likely one to be able to win that. I can be mentally tough. I can be mentally real tough, but there is a point where the physical is going to get to me, which will then break me mentally. I think I could do that at my most my physical best, and I probably could top 10 it. I probably could make top 10 just based on mental, but I'm going to probably fade around there. And you know what 10th place gets versus last place? A bullet in the head.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the exact same. Like second place just means you survived like four extra days.
Days of torture.
Yeah. So, and I know I've stressed it, but I really, really, really want to stress the point about the survival of determined outcomes versus indeterminate outcomes.
Okay. What do you mean, Professor?
Well, the long walk had a determinate outcome. There would be one person who survived and everyone else would die. If there was, say, oh God, this is probably a bad thing to bring up, but it's kind of what's coming into my head. Let's say there's a school shooting and you're one of the kids that's in there and you want to survive. You could probably do something to screw over a classmate to give yourself a better chance to survive, but that's an indeterminate outcome. Everyone could potentially survive. So you are a bad person if you sacrifice somebody else in that situation, whereas in the
yes, you are a bad person.
In the determinate outcome, you are not. And even
and explain determinate outcome.
Like the outcome is determined in advance.
Okay.
You know what the outcome is going
walk.
to be before it's done. And again, that's even where the calculus changes with 2, because that then becomes, while it's a determinate outcome,
you don't know for certain who that second person could be without your interference.
Yes. In the first one, your goal is you survive. That is the only possible determinate outcome which you're okay with. In the other one, you survive, and then there's 48 other people that could survive as well. There's 48 outcomes that for you would be acceptable. And that then makes it an indeterminate outcome.
So my last what would you do for this film would be looking at Ray and his mom, Ginny. So it turns out the long walk happens to be in Ray's home state. And at one point on day 4, I believe, they anticipate hitting a certain town where his mom is going to be there because spectators are allowed to turn out when they hit some of the small little towns. And when she drops him off for the long walk, she says goodbye and she's very composed, and then she breaks down and basically says, don't go. Oh my God, please don't. But, the opportunity to drop out had passed, and who knows what repercussions there are with that. So
hunt you down, bang, bang.
Yeah. So we know, and as do the other people on the walk, many of them know that at some point Raymond's going to have an opportunity to see his mom.
Hopefully.
And if he lives, he's going to see his mom. And there's a brief discussion between Ray and Pete and what was the other character, Collie, as to whether or not that's going to help him or hurt him. Because, like, is that encouragement or is that being like, oh my gosh, that's just going to break him because he's going to see his mom and he's going to be trudging along. And at this point, when he reaches that town, he doesn't even have shoes. He just has bloody socks. And what would you do in that situation? Would you want to be Ray, who had the opportunity to see his mom at some point on this walk, or would you just want to just focus on just moving forward?
No.
To which one?
I don't want the loved one. I don't.
It seems like it could be a huge mental distraction.
Like, because at that point, like, okay, maybe if you're going to see them like one day in and things are still going and you're still mentally there, great. But by the time he sees his mom, like, he just doesn't have the emotional capacity to process everything that's going to go on, the rush of feelings, and it would have gotten him killed.
Yeah, he runs over to his mom and starts profusely saying, I'm sorry, and crying. And the other person he's walking with, Ray, runs up and basically says, you got to keep moving, and pulls him away because you can't do that or else you get shot.
The mom should have hidden. If she wanted to see him, she should have hidden herself so that she could see him, but he wouldn't see her.
It's hard to know because I think that there are some people who would be, it's like Survivor. They, when they are all beaten down after, the first couple of weeks, they do have a day where they bring in family, and it's a reward, and you have to compete to have time with family. And that, seeing the family, pumps them up and gives them renewal to keep going. And it's very real and it's very powerful. So that can work.
How many people on Survivor have had a gun put to their head and trigger pulled if they got eliminated?
I don't know what Jeff Probst does in his free time.
And see that, but that's where it is. I mean, like on Survivor, if you're eliminated, okay, I'm just out. Like, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
And everything in this world changes context when the other outcome is death.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I mean, like, almost any other outcome you can figure out a way around, but when the other outcome is death, it totally changes the calculus on everything.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that as a valid point.
So eat the spare rib if you're forced to.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.